Hello and welcome to part 1 in this look back at Resident Evil Survivor. And I'm going to go on easy because I was having a lot of trouble with normal. I think there's a little cutscene to set the situation. I'll talk more after that.
In 1998, a disaster struck the quiet Midwestern residents of Raccoon City. An uncontrollable outbreak of the Umbrella-created T-virus transformed the city into an inescapable death trap. To stop the outbreak from spreading, Umbrella Incorporated was forced to wipe out the entire city. However, this was not the only location where an outbreak occurred.
You're not going to get away. Where am I? Oh! I don't remember anything. Who am I?
This game was the first of its type in that it was, well, it's not the first game of its type, but it's the first Resident Evil to try this. It's more of a arcade first-person shooter. It was the first game, as I say, it's the first game to try it. It was a good idea, but as the game goes on, it's very flawed in some ways.
You look familiar, but I just can't remember. Ark Thompson, huh? Though I can't remember anything, I know that this was no way for anyone to die. What?
And the shooting is just, I personally find quite poor on it in some ways. As you would have seen, I just headshotted that zombie, but it didn't affect it in any way. But you know, it's not a massively big thing. It's just a little bit flawed, I would say. But I mean, the thing I like about it is it's similar to Resident Evil 3, and you can choose which way you're going to go. You had a chance between a church, I think it was, a restaurant, kitchen, or the cinema. I'm choosing the cinema. But there's a lot of choice and replayability through that. But the biggest flaw with this game is the fact that you cannot save till the end of the game. There is no save points. And the game's roughly about 2 hours long. Roughly, I think it's about 2.5 hours long. Which, you know, is a pain in the backside because you cannot save. So yeah, it is a little bit annoying with that. And the good thing though is the handgun ammo is unlimited, and there's other handguns you can pick up throughout the throughout your journey, depending on which way you go. I mean, I think in some ways it is vital to the story, but it's not massively vital. It just tells the story, really, of Leon's friend. Really. Well, it doesn't say. I think it's in the book somewhere. I don't know where my book for it is. I lost it. But this Ark Thompson fella is a friend of Leon's or something. From what well, it doesn't actually. I don't think it says it in the game. There might be a file on it. I'm not sure, but I'm sure I read it somewhere, or it's in the book. So that's really the only connection to the main games. And obviously it's Umbrella again. I think if I'm correct, the game came out in 99 or 2000. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was 99. So it came out, I'm sure it came out the same sort of, not long after Resident Evil 3, or if at the same time. And that's quite. I think that's quite an important memo, to be honest. It sort of talks about. Well, it's a memo from Nikolai explaining like the situation of what's been going on. But I don't know whether that's hinting at him still being alive, or it's because it does say, I think somewhere in there, that he's writing it from the clock tower. So I'm not sure what that's hinting at, or if it is hinting at him alive, or he's just saying it's just a report he sent out during Resident Evil 3. But I think I was actually thinking about the shooting, because I said it's quite flawed, but in some ways, if your handgun's unlimited, it kind of makes sense, because if you were making every single headshot, there wouldn't be really any point. But then thinking about Resident Evil Chronicles, I think the handgun on there is unlimited as well, and you can make headshots on the zombies. So I don't think that really does actually matter. But I mean, it was the first Resident Evil to try this, so I mean, I think this is probably up till, well, when it came out, I think it was, the first Resident Evil, I think it was one of the worst ones in a lot of people's minds. I mean, personally, I liked it, but as I've got sort of played through this time, I can see some huge flaws in it and some really annoying things about it. Well, I wouldn't say huge flaws. I think huge is too strong. There are quite a few. The biggest flaw, as I said, was the save thing. That should have been in there, because it is kind of annoying. And as you get, as this, this series of, well, this look back at Resident Evil Survivor goes on, you'll see where the more annoying things are, and why I do think it should have had a save feature. And they did make a few more Survivor. I think they made another. They made Resident Evil Survivor 2. That was not as good. That was. I mean, I've got it. I've never actually sat and fully played it. I was getting into it when my PlayStation 3 broke a couple of years back, because I didn't have anything. Oh, that's the only thing I had. Well, I did have an Xbox at the time, but I was really getting into my PlayStation 2 at the time, and I found it, dug it out, and had to go on it. And I had played it before, but I was kind of getting into it, but it wasn't. It was a bit all over the place. And then I think it wasn't called Survivor, but they did Dead Aim as well. That I quite enjoyed actually. In 2004, I think I got it, or 2005. I can't quite remember. It was really cheap at the time, so I bought it, and I quite enjoyed that. I don't remember it a lot though. I've still got it, I think. I'll have to have a look. It's in one of my drawers, I think. I've got a whole drawer of games, like in a series, for some reason. It's mainly all Xbox games, to be honest, but I've put some like other stuff in there. And then, well, I don't know if they're tied in with it, because the Umbrella Chronicles and the Darkside Chronicles they're like similar in some ways, but they're more on the rails. Another thing that really annoys me is there's no quick turn, like there was in Resident Evil 3 and Code Veronica. Is it in 5 and 4? I don't know if it is, you know. I have played 5 quite recently. I think it was might have been last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember, because I originally played it in 2009. That was November, I think, at the end of the year. This can be really annoying now with the dogs. They are so hard to hit. I mean, they are in Resident Evil 1, 2 and 3 and all the other games that they're in. But they are really, really hard to hit. I have to say though, I can't really go into too much detail because I don't like to spoil it, as I've said in a lot of my videos for people who haven't played the game. I try to, make it fair for them. The story, I think, is very clever in this one. I don't know what it is with phones, but they do put me on edge. It's like when my house phone goes off, it makes me nervous. I don't know why. I think it's just because you don't know who's on the other end of it or what's going on. So yeah, I don't really like it. Makes me a bit nervous, the sound of a phone. Don't know why. Well, I'll sort of explain why, I suppose. It's actually quite funny playing this, because I was playing it I started it about 8 o'clock at night. And in my house it does get a little bit dark. The lighting's not brilliant. Let's put it that way. And I think it's because you can't see what's around you. Like now, when I'm running from them knickers, I can't see them behind me. And it was making me a bit jittery, I must admit. So I think with that, it does work. And it was good to see that, it still has that thing about it, that scare factor about it. I kind of like that. So that's a plus thing from it. It would actually be great if they sort of re-release this and like put move compatibility with it. It'd be interesting to see what it's like, because I'm using the PlayStation 2 controller at the moment. I do actually have the same turbo one I was using on Resident Evil 3, but yeah, I don't really want to cheat. So I don't think it would make much of a difference, to be honest, because you have to press R1 and X at the same time. I actually found the other day, I don't know if anybody has ever heard of them, they've done a special PlayStation 1 controller. It's not an analog one, so I don't know if it would work, but it's like got on the back where the one side of the controller is, it's got like a gun. It's put on a handgun. I don't know what it's called. Where you put the magazine in. Let's put it that way. I don't know what they call that thing. I'm not very good on guns. You would ring when I want to explain something.
Vincent.
Who is this? Vincent? Who's that? Wait. Am I Vincent?
Vincent, you are a murderer. A murderer.
A murderer? What are you talking about? Answer me. Who did I kill?
This gun, just quickly get back to it. It's got like a back of a handgun. It's got all the buttons set up ready for how you play Resident Evil. It's really clever. I've got 2 of them, I think. I've only found 1. This again, you've got 3 locations. You've got the arcade, the library, and the hospital. We're going to go into the hospital. This is the end for this part, but I will explain more in the next part why they're different. So thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll join me for the next part.